I'm Ariana.
And my name's Ryan.
And this is
I Wear Grippy Socks.
She wears no strings, I wear grippy socks. She's in the psych ward, I'm in the detox.
A mental health podcast by two know-nothing millennials from a seriously non-clinical viewpoint.
This episode may contain graphic content, so please be advised.
And remember,
thank you for being here.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of I Wear Grippy Socks. We are here today, and we have our new socks. Oh, shit. Oh,
I'm dead.
Oh, man. All right. I don't know if we're going to cut that out, but here we are. We got the new tie-dye socks, as you can see.
They look good.
They do look good. You can get those. They are available today at iweargrippysocks.com. But how are you, Ariana? How are you today?
Well, with all that, I am, this week has been a definite roller coaster of emotions, I will say. Good stuff. We finally got the socks posted, as you saw, so that was a really good highlight of, I guess, getting our stuff accomplished. But we definitely been, I feel like, slacking in a bit of areas. So I've been a little disappointed, you know, in me and ourselves a bit. I know.
You can say me. It's okay.
But it's me too. You know, it's a team thing. We're a team.
That's right.
I feel like it's been an emotional weekend, though, because I was feeling very like I want to get really focused on our podcast and really be able to bring some information and knowledge, or at least my opinion, to reach people. I started looking at different podcasts and just kind of like, you know, as you do, listen and compare. And I was looking at different mental health, and I actually stumbled upon this really, really good podcast. It's called Foreplay by it's Dr. Lori Watson, and I know I'm going to say it right, George Fuller, right? Fowler?
I think we agreed on Fowler. Maybe.
Yeah.
Shout out to whoever.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. They're really good. I only listened to a couple episodes, but it kind of like came to me. I listened to one of the episodes, and it's a topic me and Ryan had been, you know, talking about in the past, and it kind of sparked an interest, and I immediately sent it to Ryan, and I think it kind of started a avalanche of like realizations for.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Holy shit, yeah, no, things have not really been going very well at all, I would say, recently. The podcast, I really needed to hear it because I have not been doing great at all. It's probably not a surprise. I don't know, it might be a surprise to people because I don't know how well I am at putting on a facade, but I guess the gist of the episode or the entire podcast, I don't know, I guess they talk about sex, or they're marriage counselors, or couple
and sex therapy. One's a doctor, one's, I think, a licensed something. We couldn't figure out the little monogram thing, but
yeah, I don't know. He could have been, I don't know, ASAP Rocky or something. I think was his acronym.
Yeah, exactly.
But I really needed to hear the episode. So to give you guys a little bit of background, this episode was about compulsive sexual behavior. And my God, it was very eye-opening to me because my behavior has just been flat out unacceptable. And somehow I've convinced myself along the way that it's okay. Not only okay, but it's like glorified. It's accepted. You know, like you're supposed to. I've talked about struggles with, I guess, like sex addiction, if you can call it that. Some people don't think that's a real thing. I've tried to bring it up in the past, and it's funny, if you talk about having a drug addiction, you know, everybody's all for, like, trying to help. But I talked about possibly being addicted to sex, and a lot of people thought it was funny, just downright.
I think there's also a part of like people don't know how to also respond to the conversation of sex,
right?
And people just don't still know how to discuss it. So there's a lot of like immediate shutdown from people because you know it's just hilarious. Or also you have, I feel like your big thing is that, you know, you're decent looking, so you know, like the ploy, the manhood, the whole thing, like, you know, you're gonna get the ladies, you know, it's this like awesome thing, this hyped up thing. So I feel like it definitely, for someone, and once again, you know, looking from the outside, how you know, I mean, people can be, you know, essentially throwing yourself at you at times and not know how to, I don't know, cope with that. It's crazy to me.
It has been difficult. I would say that one of the more particularly difficult aspects of it is if it were only women throwing themselves at me and I was just out here just slaying models every day, that's one thing. Maybe even using protection. I could see where people are like, that's not necessarily, I don't see an issue with that. Unfortunately for myself, my behavior has not and will not ever be acceptable. I mean, I've talked in a previous episode where I'm like, I don't know if it's an addiction or if it's just experimenting. No, I don't want to be doing this shit. I do it. I don't want to be doing it. It brings me such a great deal of shame. I literally cannot even adequately express it.
Well, I feel like it's hard because I was reading one of these. I had started looking a little bit further once this kind of conversation got sparked up, and I think part of some of that behavior is not like we're told once again the sex, like you can't just eliminate it, right? If you can just say like with drugs, right? You eliminate drugs. You can just like say it's easier. That's an easier solution. Like to say that you're never going to have sex again, or to be able to say that I'm going to become sober, or the potential is also, I think the scary part is your future partner and who you might be with one day. It's not like to ask someone to give up sex who is that's a big sacrifice. So I think it's a different kind of addiction that's harder, because you can say with drugs, it's like, no, don't do the drugs. It's a pretty easy solution here, like X equals.
In theory, yeah, right.
Yeah, not saying no. It's not easy.
Right.
Easy, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's a bit more of a straightforward kind of scenario going on.
There's just like, it's such a taboo topic. And even on the podcast, on the episode we listened to, I don't like listening to podcasts because normally they don't interest me that much. This one was about 30 minutes. I was like, I actually listen. Most of the time, people send me something to listen to. I'm not going to watch that. I'm sorry. But they were talking about how, like, it just, you feel such a great deal of shame, and then you hide, and then you convince yourself that you aren't lovable, but you also don't love yourself. And the guy said to him, that's like the definition of hell. And honestly, that is where I've been. To go into, without going into too much detail, there have been, maybe we'll see how much detail I go into, but there's been a handful of times within the last few months, I have gone to hook up with somebody and I have ended up smoking methamphetamine.
Yeah, this one is a real tough one for me in the whole scheme of things, and first kind of, hearing and you coming to me and talking about it, how that I am super proud that the amount of times that he has done it is very minimal. But once again, that's not good either. Obviously, it's proportion, and I think that's the other thing that's the constant conflict or fight here, or the battle is figuring out what is moderation, but what's not moderation, what is healthy, what's not healthy, and how to understand the proper behaviors of those things. Like obviously not going down a spiral of addiction again is so far you're not at that point, but you're in a whole different kind of, like, I feel like boat essentially. So I don't know. It's been, I've also like been processing that in more of a, I don't know. I'm also still, I guess, processing that information as well.
Yeah, just it's happened a couple times. I have brought it up to Ariana, nobody else, because I don't know. I don't want people to worry. I don't want people to be, I just don't want people to worry about me, really, at the end of the day. I really don't. But unfortunately, and for instance, like the couple times, what's got me more worried and think that I'm having more of an issue with just like sex itself is like, it's not, I never went out of my way to like, it's not like, hey, let me go do some meth. It's like, but I'm going and it just enhances the experience. And then I think I just, honestly, you brought it up before. I don't necessarily think it has to do with my sexuality being so ashamed. I would say it's more of like my hypersexuality that I have been ashamed. Because I've just been full blown out of control I don't even know. In the past 6 months, I don't even know. Shit has been gotten just absolutely out of hand. I don't know. And it seems like it's snowballing, and if I don't nip it in the bud. The worst part, though, is I have tried. I have reached out to therapists. I have tried to get in contact with people. But part of my problem is I don't necessarily, it's not something I feel comfortable talking about with just anybody, because a lot of people don't, if you're not out, smoking meth and doing this stuff with, if it's, a lot of times I feel like therapists are judgmental.
Yeah,
I feel like some of them are judgmental.
Yeah, they don't know where you're coming from. I know in finding a therapist in general can be difficult. Like I've definitely been there. I currently don't have one, and I should be back on the hunt for one 100%. But it's hard to find someone that you instantly like you want to tell these deep dark secrets to, and that it is definitely challenging. And I know that's something that I've been like constantly. I just don't know sometimes what to say other than like, how to back up like what the solution is here. Like all I know is let's go talk to a therapist. Let's find a therapist for you. And it has obviously been proving a bit harder to achieve that. Besides, actually, though, the universe speaking to us right before this episode, he did get a call finally back.
Oh my God. It was so funny though. So like the universe continues to work in mysterious ways. But I talked about this morning, I talked about the just how feel like I just have an addiction to pornography and sex. And, we walked up here and we were going to record this episode, and then there's a record on the bed and it's Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing. And then we're sitting here and I've been bitching about how I can't get a therapist to call me back. And then all of a sudden the therapist calls me right before the episode.
The freaking universe. Sometimes I don't know. When you also start noticing that, I feel like wanting the change, the things start to appear more clearly. I don't know. I know the timing is kind of wild, but still, I think there is some sort of, when you start looking for it, sometimes the answer can be there. I don't know.
For sure.
And
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna just tack back a little too. I know wanted to like mention some of the pattern behaviors that they were also talking about. You were saying like the first one I feel like a bit more obvious is the starting with like the porn overindulging in compulsive behavior, obviously watching excessive amount of porn, or another instance they gave was losing interest in your partner sexually. If you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
The other, as soon these last two where I was like, yeah, Ryan, I was like the secret life, it like indulging in that like, you know what I mean? It's more that fun, a fun attraction, like over, you just, no one knows about it. You're doing your own thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like exciting. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I check like all those boxes. But it's definitely, I mean, for years, I've been struggling with this for years. And every time I've brought it up, and I do have a bad habit of bringing, maybe not sounding extremely serious, like when I bring things up, But I have brought it up in the past. I mean, for years, I've been doing this shit. And to me, it's like, it was difficult because I'm like, part of me felt like maybe I've been experimenting with my sexuality in like a healthy manner. Mm-hmm. Somehow I have myself convinced that, but I really think that it's just like a full-blown addiction, and that it's like, I will just, whoever, man, woman, whatever. And like, you have to continue doing riskier and riskier things and doing dumber and dumber shit to get the same thrill. I mean, and I can feel myself when I'm doing these things. It's like, I don't want to do it. It's the same thing with the drugs. I don't know how I could have been so naive. I think maybe because it's not like recognized by whoever the fuck recognizes shit as being a real thing. But at this point, I don't care what people say. I mean, and it is, and the thing is, I mean, therapy is good, but just talking about things in general is good. It is a first step. I mean, even talking, there's been things I've said, to you even, that I have not said to anyone before. So I'm like, I feel like I'm like having to work my way up to even be able to talk about these things with a therapist.
Yeah, well, I feel like I might have also somewhat, I don't know if enable is the right word, when we did the episode, the Rainbow Sheep of the Family, and when you're going through all that, my first instinct was just thinking, though, it was just this instant, okay, it's just he's sexually curious of, just sexual curiosity of other gender, and coming from maybe a place where that wasn't so open, I generally thought, that had to be the route of it, because once again, you're not so used to the real idea of, sex addiction, that it's an actual thing, and they said it affects 3 to 6% of the US, and like all genders, so it's not even just one male or female. It is it's easier to just assume that it's nothing or that it's something small. And I feel I was talking when we were talking earlier. Even I feel like that's the hard part with even identifying though just the addiction behavior. Is it when does it go from being like, okay, appropriate, these are, oh no, it's safe actions, like I'm not against drugs, I'm not, but if there's an appropriate time and place to do drugs, there's an appropriate safe manner to do drugs. Same with sex, you know what I mean? I'm very if you've listened in our past, I grew up in a very open household about sex. We talked about sex constantly, in a there's probably definitely some trauma or repercussions or something from that for sure. But also there's so many positives from also talking about it so early. And so I don't know, when do you realize, if I'm just sleeping, I'm having a fun, weekend sleeping out with people because, okay, whatever. But when does it shift? And then like not enabling those actions. And I feel like I might have also been somewhat enabling those actions at times.
I mean, well, it's hard to say because luckily, well, I guess probably not really luckily, but I'm full of shit. I'm 100%, 110% full of, no, I'm not 110% full of shit. It's interesting because I will come on here and talk very, very openly about certain things. I will let out a certain level of information, but I don't know, I withhold certain information for sure. And I feel like I maybe try to point, like, hey, I'll be very vague. Hey, I'm going to go hang out with someone. And it's like, hey, I'm going to go from this escort to this escort. I'm going to hit this house on the way. I'm going to, there was a point in time I forgot condoms were real. And this is not great. And I mean, fuck. I've talked about it before on here. I mean, I literally have herpes. I have herpes. I have oral and genital herpes. And here I am. I still will have, I don't give a, and that's the worst part. I mean, like, I do care. It's like, I know I'm hurting people and like, I cannot stop. And it's like, I should have known that. I think that it's just the sex. I mean, it's just such a taboo topic. I would literally rather sit here and be like, dude, I mean, I smoke meth, but if I'm like, hey, I've been doing some weird shit. I mean, I've been getting out there, like I'm not necessarily trying to go into all that.
Talk about it. That's hard. I know. There was a quote that the one guy said on there. He said, "Everyone's focused on the drinking, not the thirst." And I thought that was very prevalent because I think sometimes you don't, what is, like, it's like figuring out what the triggering, like what that thirst is to you. What's the actual, like reason why you're going and doing these actions, or, I think that's the hardest part though with addiction or compulsive
For sure.
anything is that core, what's making you do these actions. And you're so blatant to say, you can see it on your face when we talk and have conversations, I don't want to be doing these actions are not me at times. These are not, it's like you're in the body doing them, but they're not, right and wrong, but it's hard to figure that out. And it's definitely, my heart truly does go out because the internal war, that the constant, I think you must feel, you know what I mean? You don't want to be out doing these things. And I always say, you've said in the past that you said a little earlier too, of not wanting, you not to have someone in your life. And I'm always like, no, you're going to have someone, you'll find someone for you. You will find someone for you. And it's just finding that healthy, I don't know,
it is difficult. I mean, there's a good, I was like, no, I'll never get married. I'll never have kids. And it's like, people think that's like, I don't know. They think I'm not being serious when I say that. I'm being completely serious. I do not feel good about myself enough as a person to be in a relationship with another human, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to keep doing it. For years, I've done the same shit. For years. I'm like, why would I hurt somebody like that? I have a conscience to an extent. I do. I mean, I promise. I don't feel great about doing this shit. That's why, But like we said, the first step is admitting that it is a problem. It has never occurred to me that this was a problem before. I feel like my behavior my entire life has been glorified. People don't. But again, I mean, there is a healthy way to go about having sex with people. I don't want to, I don't want to sound, but I would just say that the way that I've been doing it.
Not so healthy.
I was gonna say recently, but not even recently. I don't even know how long. I mean, I'm actually missing I was supposed to get right now is actually my appointment for my second syphilis test, but I'm not going back to that place because they pissed me off.
Uh-oh. Well, we definitely need to retest.
Yeah.
That needs to happen. And I think that's where I have felt somewhat frustrated, though, is, you've been kind of keeping me in the loop on these things. And your mom spoke about it on the episode. The change, when you want change, the change will then come thereafter. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's. I'm not saying you don't want it, but when the level of putting up with it, like you said, so admitting it, coming now on this podcast, this was really putting it. I know we've kind of touched base here and there on it, but like this is like. Here, this is me, this is my problem, and I think if anyone's listening and you are a true follower of Ryan, stop sending nudes, okay? Okay,
I mean,
I'm gonna cut that out.
Let's not get carried away just yet.
I just,
it is difficult. Sometimes they just come in out of left field,
Yeah, and
it's been difficult dealing with all the attention.
I think that has a big role. I don't want to I know I gotta use my words carefully here because I feel like everything I say becomes something sexual, but your head gets larger and larger. When it comes though, it's hard with you. You have you're a micro influencer or whatever. You have a good following, and you have these people following you. And even before you were even have a social media presence, you have always had a presence like. Your personality, your persona, you can click with
BDE.
A lot of people.
Just kidding. Well, I'm not. Ain't nothing micro about my influence.
I can't.
No, I'm kidding.
But you really, I think there is that, and it's hard because once again now, if you have to look at it, other people out there, so boo-hoo, you're so good looking, and the women are throwing them at you, it's definitely, I feel it's so weird to see the other end of the ratio, because usually you're hearing the people who don't, no one wants to sleep with them, no one wants to be with them, or they're having troubles connecting, or for me, the fear of sex for so long for me was such a big thing, and so it's so different. And you had said something yesterday I thought was crazy. I rather, it's more casual to go have sex than it is to go get coffee with someone.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about it, because actually I was talking to a nice young woman who gave me the information for the therapist and the Accord. Shout out to, you know who you are if you're listening.
Hey.
But yeah, I was like, hey, we should go, go on some kind of date. And I was like, to me, that took way more plan. I was like, this is weird. But to me, going to a fucking rundown Motel 6, another weird thing too, though, what's weird? There's been a lot of times where there has been a few times I've gotten somewhere and I've had an epiphany. I'm like, I don't want to, and then half the times I'm like, oh, well, I'm here. Might as well, Yeah. I really just go through these, and it's just the oddest thing, and it happens regularly, and I feel so much shame, and I feel an incredible amount of guilt, and then I think about committing myself,
Yeah, and that's, I think, though, scary, and I know to even get even more serious point, there's been times where you've mentioned, taking your life, and I know in passing we all, there's not, this podcast is partly for that, the fact of that, one day, yes, you might say it jokingly in passing here or in this moment, you feel it then, but it's not a decision that, you could just choose one day that it is right, and it was the purpose, and that's what you're going to do, and that's what is also so scary, because it is, we want you in a healthy, headspace and making healthy choices, and it's figuring out the way to get you in a better headspace. Definitely, I think is I hope the goal. I
It has been difficult. I think because, and I just feel like I've been living a lie. Let's call it like it fucking is. I'm a fucking great big fucking phony. I mean, at the end of the day, I have not been recovering at all. I mean, maybe I haven't done my drug of choice in a long time. I haven't done any recovering. My problem is the same, if not worse, as it's ever been. I mean, I've been on a fucking suicide mission my entire life and nothing has changed. I mean, maybe I'm not doing fent anymore. Maybe I might live a little longer, but I'm sure as fuck not really, I literally smoke. I got my tooth pulled. I literally smoked meth the day. There's a don't smoke. They didn't tell me not to smoke meth, I mean, I just don't, it's like I don't know. Just out here, driving recklessly. I've been drinking, We drink here occasionally. I do drink. I get fucking wasted. I get wasted as absolute fuck. I smoke a shitload of weed. I ate 2 fucking chocolate bars the other day. I didn't get any painkillers from the dentist.
difficult because I'd also see myself once again. The enabling part, but it's hard to how does someone also on the other side like I know sometimes drinking like you definitely should not at times, right? But sometimes it's like it's okay, like if you're having a here and there, I don't know, but then I obviously know then maybe it's not okay, but then I also want to indulge, and then I want to be selfish because I want to indulge in those things, but it's also super hard to not be participating with whatever everyone is doing in the moment, or therefore. And I think that kind of what also happened with, if I am right, with when you did the meth, is more of it was there wasn't a sought out after it. It was
no. I was going to have raunchy, unprotected intercourse.
So I'm not like
with multiple people.
This is where I've definitely been processing this is like the sex.
It's always been sex. The problem has always been sex, 100%. The reason I used to take painkillers back in the day, there's a song, it's like, I've been taking painkillers so I last longer when I had sex. That's what I would do that. I was self-conscious, and I would be having sex with a lot of people, so I would just use painkillers all the time. I would just drink, I feel like the whole time it's just been I would just do whatever. I will alter my mind in whatever way so that I am free to do whatever without thinking of any kind of ramifications of my actions. I mean, maybe not 100%, but it's definitely worth considering.
Yeah.
I think my brain, it's just, I've done damage to my brain that will eventually take time. But until I start viewing it as an addiction, I mean, obviously the fucking first rule is we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction and that our lives had become unmanageable. I mean, I guess up until now, I haven't really viewed it as unmanageable. But I mean, a lot of this is just now is coming to the surface. I mean, the fact where it's like, okay, I mean, things have gotten out of hand. And it's not like this is new shit. The worst part is like internally, I know that I haven't wanted to do this shit, but I haven't had myself convinced that I was like actually addicted. I was like, I could stop if I want. I can stop. But I'm like, why would I stop if it's not that bad? If everyone's out here fucking co-signing my bullshit, well then guess what? I'm not going to stop. Yeah. But if I was more honest about what I was doing, people would maybe, because I don't know, you can always justify it. Okay, other people are doing worse shit. But it's like, well, okay, so other people are doing better shit, I guess.
Yeah, I that's a hard one, because even when you left the other night, he was going off and he told me he was going somewhere, and Ryan, he usually tells me when it's after the fact, obviously, generally when these discussions are had, or he'll hint at something and then I'll go, is that the best decision you should be making? And I'm not telling him no, because also I'm not his mother. I'm not his guardian. I do not, he's his own person. He can make his own decisions.
That's right. I'm grown.
But I at first, when the first time you told me about the relapse with drugs, I really was like, okay, it was just the sex. It was just the sex. It was just the sex. And then now the second time I was like, okay, maybe not. And I started kind of like, okay, this is an issue. And then just today, I will say on all these inklings, I had assumed there was something going on because also your shift in behavior, of course. But
I was wilding.
yeah, it wasn't great. And I always felt so, I speak up, but then you would also get upset, but like not upset, like, the like, I don't know, like, I got it, but so it's like also hard. I don't want to take you off more.
I mean, some of it was good. It's just hard to find. I'm like, things have just been crazy. Everything's just so fucking crazy. I mean, like, oh my God. The bottom line is I can get addicted to anything. I started OnlyFans. I was addicted to the money for the first 4. I was like, I need content, and I need it now at whatever cost. And then there we are. I mean, I don't know. There's just...
I know, and that's also, I don't know if I, like, really breaking it down, like, when bringing that up in the first place, was that even a good place to go? Has that amplified it? Has it made it worse? Is it, what...
I think being more open and honest about things, I think it all ties in together. Yeah, I mean, it really does. I mean, I just gotta find. You gotta just figure out what works and what does not work. And what I'm figuring out is just what I'm doing is not working. But then another tough thing, because obviously you do feel so much shame, and it's like, dude, I don't want to talk about this, and then it's like I can't get help. And then it's like you feel bad, but you can't stop. And it's just a vicious fucking cycle. And honestly, I don't even know, for years. I mean, I don't even know. I'm 20, and it's like, my whole fucking psyche is just thrown off, like living this like secret double life. I mean, that's what it feels like. I feel like I've been living a double life for literally years. And it has caused me so much fucking
pain.
Pain. And it's the worst part is because I joke, and everyone thinks everything's all hunky dory, and they're like, oh, the funniest part, because I'll talk about all kinds of dumb shit that I have done, but I won't talk about my sexual experiences, or I feel a lot of shame. I really do. I mean, and a big part of it is because of the nature of the actions. Again, if I was only slaying models, that's one thing. But I mean, it's like, countless people, women, men, paying me, nobody getting paid. We like to call that an even deal, but
that's why though I feel like this is where this has been, or I feel a real center focus not center focus, but going on, this conversation between the two of us for sure, for at least 4 months, 3-4 months now. And I think I was trying to take more of the reserved, also back seat, and try to let you kind of figure it out on your own. And there obviously is a part of that, like, you have to obviously, I think, figure it out on your own. But I definitely, like, I feel like the goal here now, the next steps, the hopefully hope where we go from here is the upward. So I looked up this morning, we looked up Sex Anonymous meeting, and there's one he's gonna go to, which I hope is awesome. And he, like he said, the counselor that you're gonna try. And I think these things might not work. I don't want to be I think going into them being overly optimistic, like, oh, this is the have all be all. No, but also might not be the worst thing. No, but just being like open to like trying something.
I agree. I mean, and that's like I mean, yeah, and like, people talk about like the NA meetings or whatever, and like I haven't been going to NA meetings. I haven't had great experience at NA meetings, but I don't. That's not what the kind of meeting I want to go to. Now, mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like the drugs, obvious. I mean, that's what I sound so stupid because I know this shit, but it's like the drugs are just obviously they're a symptom, and they're just. It's not the drugs, Mm-hmm. It has never been the drugs.
Yeah.
Cutting out drugs is not the fucking, that's not, I mean, it's just a crock of shit. I have not done any healing. I mean, I don't want to say I haven't done any healing again. I feel like I am getting better because it has been difficult to come to terms with regarding, is this healthy experimentation with sexuality, or is this just any fucking person will do? And it has been difficult to come to terms with, but I don't care if it's not recognized. I don't give a shit. I mean, other people recognize it. If it's a fucking thing you want to stop, then it's a problem, you know? If you don't want... I mean, the other night, like we said, we talked. I did not want to go. I knew everyone would just get mad. And not even... It's like, I would be mad at my fucking self. And it's like, there, you know...
Off you go.
It's like I'm watching myself do this shit. It's like, I'm telling you, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I'm only trying to be Mr. Hyde from now on. Or the doctor. I've never seen the movie or whatever, read the book.
No, but I think that that's the point. You're coming to terms now. You've acknowledged that there's an issue. There's, I think there a lot of people you're going to have to talk to. I know this is going to baffle a couple of, your mom.
I don't know that they will necessarily be baffled.
Not baffled, but there's a lot of emotional, heartbreak that somewhat goes into the other bits of it. And I don't think it's necessarily just, I think it's good that you're finally realizing and being able to fully come and say, like, okay, I am the stem of all this stuff, kind of where it started is.
I don't know.
Sex.
Maybe now, or am I just making excuses now? I don't know. But it seems possible. It seems like that's always been like a very prevalent issue in my life that I just have not addressed and have not been willing to address because of the stigma behind it for whatever reason.
Yeah, and I think there's in the big part for me too where I hadn't necessarily freaked out, and whoever's listening to this and who didn't know all that, and I've known what I've known. It was more, you did it in these one-off situations, that is a bigger sign to me that it, really the sex thing I think is the root of necessarily the root of some of your major issues you have, or the traumas that you've gone through, is really around, the actual act of sex, and the drugs were just the second part of that. And so I think, maybe it's not, maybe it isn't, maybe it is the other way, but going on this journey, something's still not right.
Something ain't up.
You know what I mean?
Something is up. I mean.
Something's up too much. So it's, I think at least I think what people want to see, even if, when, at least for me, I would want to see is in any scenario is the trying aspect. Okay, if it's not working, at least you tried it for a session or two, or you attempted to do it once. I think the one of just showing the efforts there, even if it's not working, even if you try, you did it, whatever, it's showing that I do want to change. I do want to make a difference, and that's why I'm feeling good about hopefully this episode and talking about it. I
mean, honestly, up until this point, let me reiterate, I have not wanted to change, really. Not that I have and I haven't. Mm-hmm. Because I've still, we've talked about the therapist, and I wanted to talk to a therapist, a special sex. Actually, it's funny, I posted something on Snapchat because I was looking for therapists, and I accidentally had the one tab open. It was top 5 sex therapists in America or something. Everyone's like, I had people met, I swear, people think it's just so fucking funny. I want somebody else to tell me if this is okay or not okay. I was up until that point, I'm if it's up to me, then it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, I have very low standards for what I think is acceptable behavior and what I think is unacceptable behavior. Up until this point, I will say. So I've been looking, I was like, dude, I need somebody to just tell me, is this healthy? But now I don't give a, I bet there'd be therapists that'd be like, no, that's fine.
And I think, we were saying that, even in the house, and, now recognizing the topic and being aware of it, and also, minimal the driving on your own that you're doing. I think that's also a
Somebody starts
thing.
Sending me nicotine pods. I tried to quit for a little bit. I need Red Bull and nicotine
this
pods.
Will really make you quit. No one getting out your fixins.
I'll walk.
Well, at least you'd walk, and that'd be good. At least you get some exercise.
Fuck that.
It'd be good.
Walking's not.
But I am excited for you to be on this. Hopefully, turn a new page. I know there's going to be a lot more heated fights. I know me and Ryan have been. My fuse for Ryan has been quite short lately, so that also hasn't probably helped. But also his actions obviously also haven't helped the situation. So it's learning the dynamic. It's not, it's being aware that it's okay that there's an issue and how we're going to just figure it out. And that's being aware, not pretending that it's not there, being blunt about it because I was not being straightforward as well. And we all just got to start being straightforward, communicating. This is, once again, the thing we always talk about is communication.
That's right. We're getting a little better every day. I would just like to apologize to everyone for everything.
But you're going to get on the road. I know it. I really do. There are so many people rooting for you. Even you feel, I know there's probably are people out there, like anyone has. We all have the negative people in our life, but there's way more positive people in your corner than you think. And that's for everyone out there. You don't realize
That's true. Hopefully not positive with STDs, though, because I am. So.
And if not, then go get tested. It's okay. You just need to start making the healthy, safer choices. Whether that be abstinence in the future, who knows? I don't know what your mindset as goal is. Maybe once you talk to this therapist and go to the meeting and see how things go. I think being around people who also, even though it's not as great to be around other people sometimes, especially with the drugs or whatever, but actually it's an all men's one. So that at least eliminates the half of some of the drive. I'm just saying. Maybe.
Yeah, except I'm a fucking beautiful man. They'll probably try to hit on me.
They might. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
I don't either. But no, it honestly does seem very like it'll be helpful because there are people out there struggling with the same thing. And some people talk about it, Some people just... Yeah. And then again, other people just don't really struggle with the issue, which seems like it would be nice. But...
That's why people get mentors, right?
I guess so.
I don't know. I think, though, this journey is going to be great for you. I think... You're going to have a lot of new things on your plate. I hope people, that you might have disappointed, but I think it'd be good. I don't know. Maybe other people don't. This is day one of sobriety.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like people will be fine with it. But, we're always our toughest critics.
Yeah. And today's the first day of getting back on it. One. That's it.
Woo.
Today. You got it, though.
Woo.
Yeah, woo now. But then at the end of the year when you're kicking ass and taking names, then you'd be like, woo! Okay, that's a little aggressive, but...
Yeah, that was a little... I don't know that I would... But I will keep everyone posted on what is going on, because I just sure at this point don't fucking know. I just don't know.
Yeah, but we're talking about it.
That's right.
We're talking about it. It's no longer being swept under the rug. It's being brought to reality. So that's the first thing you can do. And, we're going to listen more to this freaking podcast. I will say, I'm going to wrap that up with saying that this, if you really are looking for some sex, like kind of advice, therapy, couples therapy too, I listened to a couple episodes. They seem so far really great. The dynamic is awesome on there. They're named Foreplay. They're super, super
Shout
good.
them out. Honestly, it was very helpful to hear that episode.
We'll definitely probably be listening, or for sure I will be listening to even more of their episodes. But... maybe they can help us get through some more of these kind of topics that we can discuss.
Hopefully.
We'll see. But I guess we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you guys for listening this far. Thank you for coming on this journey. I think for people who either are on, Ryan's side, the one struggling and figuring out his compulsive behavior or addiction, and the other side of just trying to be there for the person and, get them the best help that they can. We're all going through this from the start. No one really know what we're doing, but we're trying to do it as best as we can and hopefully make an impact on anyone else out there who's going through something similar.
That's right. A good one, though.
Yes.
Good impact.
Exactly.
That's right. Thank you, everyone. Love you guys. Sorry. Oh, God. Sorry. Love y'all.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here.